Welcome, everyone, to Family Comes First. I'm Vincent J. Russo.
And I'm Victoria Roberts-Drogin. Thank you for joining us. Today, we will be hearing the story of how loving parents and a beautiful baby girl have created hope for thousands of families.
Bob Policastro is the founder and executive director of Angela's House, which was established in memory of his daughter, Angela Marie. Angela's legacy on Family Comes First.
There are many families on Long Island with medically fragile children who don't have a place or resources to take care of them. Shockingly, some of them wind up in nursing homes or institutions out of state.
Yeah, and that's so upsetting to hear in today's world.
Yes.
That was the situation Bob Policastro faced 23 years ago when his daughter Angela was born. He decided to do something about it. With us now is Bob Policastro, the founder of Angela's House.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, guys, for having us today.
We're happy to have you. And also, Anne Bingham.
Thank you
for joining us. Anne's daughter, Victoria, is a resident at Angela's House in Smithtown for the past 10 years.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you so much, and we have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Anne, share your story.
Well, Victoria was born August 21st, 1995. Never did I ever imagine that there was going to be anything special happening. After all, I had two healthy daughters before her, and everything was going okay. And so I thought to myself, wow, look at this. What a miracle. I can have healthy children. This is now the third time around, so, okay, here we go. And out came beautiful Victoria. She was absolutely beautiful, no problems, complications in the pregnancy or the birth. And then shortly after I took her home, I began to sense, something's not quite right. I am pretty sure that by 6 or 7 weeks old, both Jessica and Julie were smiling at me, definitely looking at me by this point. And then at the 12-week checkup, I brought her home that night. She did have a medical exam that day, and that night I started to see what I was pretty sure were seizures.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was the beginning of this journey.
And she's 21 now.
She is going to be 21.
Oh, my goodness.
And I just marvel at if God could have, given me a glimpse 21 years down the road that I'd be sitting here today with Bob Policastro, and the journey that I've been through with her, that the care that she received every step of the way, how she's doing today, it's just unbelievable.
What were some of the initial challenges?
Well, first we had to figure out how to stop the seizures. She had infantile spasms, so she was having literally hundreds of seizures a day, myoclonic jumps that would come in a series. So we took her to the best doctors we could find. We tried all kinds of diets and medication, and she really didn't have those shut down until she was about 7 years old.
Wow.
So it was very, very intense for 7 years.
And how old were your, I'm just going to say, how old were your other daughters?
So Jessica was about 4 when Victoria was born, and Julie 2. So
you had your hands full.
I had my hands full.
Yes.
Yes, my husband also had a very, unrelated to Victoria, very serious health issue himself. Very serious health issue, which he needed brain surgery as well. So I had my hands full. So someone said, contact Bob Policastro.
Right.
Back in those days, I thought to myself, I said, oh God, you say you don't give us more than we can bear, Lord. I don't understand what part of I can't handle this are you understanding down here? But he knew exactly what he was doing, because when I was crying out and praying that prayer, please help me, this is more than I can bear. I think you've overdone it this time between the husband with the health issues and Victoria. Bob and Angie Policastro were working away with Angela's House, which would turn out to be a tremendous support. And there's no way I could have
So
gone
Bob,
through.
you step in. How did you help?
Well, first we were helping her with home care. Fortunately, with Medicare systems and what is called the Care at Home program, it allowed us to bring in resources to both with the day-to-day care of Victoria,
Right.
and really help her through the everyday aspects of, and that gets overwhelming.
Of
And if you
course.
could take some of those pieces away, and if you can have a coordinator come in and relieve some of that, and then have the supplement of not only your private insurance, but Medicaid stepping in and paying, it was
It
great.
eases a lot of the burden.
But
So
as
much.
we
It
know,
was
though,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
it still can be overwhelming. And in their circumstance, I knew we were working on looking at a second house.
Okay.
So I approached the family and I says, listen, I see what you're going through. There wasn't something like that you saw an end to what her husband was going through, what the family was going through, and Victoria's level of seizures were escalating. And I approached him. I says, listen, this is an awkward conversation to have,
Sure.
and I'll continue with home care. But I says, do you want to consider, coming into the new house? And it's
That's a big
one of the
question,
most
yeah.
difficult things to ever
Yeah.
approach a family
Right.
with.
What
So I
was-
want to hear your
What was your
yeah,
reaction?
what was
In
your
my mind's
reaction?
eye, growing up as a child, if you ever heard about someone who had a multiply handicapped child back, 40, 50
Yes.
years ago, what did they do? They put them
different.
away, or they became a ward of the state. So these horrific images came to mind. And I said to Bob, oh, no, never. I could never put my child in a home.
But this
You
was
know,
a very different
Oh,
house.
this
Very
was
different.
completely
How is it different?
different. This is completely different. This is not where these special peoples are being warehoused and a door shut and the nightmare images that come to mind. This is a beautiful residential home. When I pulled up to Angela's house on Brookside Drive, I began to cry. I was so moved with just. This is going to be my daughter's home now. We were calling it sleepaway camp.
Right.
Right.
That she would sleep here during the week. I would take her home on the weekends, just to help ease into the process. I drove there, such a beautiful home, then to meet loving, caring staff. God bless these people who go into this field. It takes a special person. You must have a heart of gold and a steel stomach. You are taking care of the day-to-day living,
Needs.
and it's exhausting work, and I was just so appreciative. By that time, I was basically 7 years without sleep.
Yes.
I was
You
sleep
must have been
deprived.
exhausted.
And although I did have nursing in the home, which was wonderful, it still can become overwhelming. And it was only until she really went into Angela's house and I became comfortable with the level of care and the staff that I began to relax and could then begin to kind of recoup a little.
She's been there
10
years now.
The dynamics
Yeah.
of the family can then, you can take a breath. We were able to just get up and go to a restaurant, things that people, or maybe go on a vacation.
So I have to ask, so is there an age limit at Angela's house? I mean, when Victoria reaches a certain age, does she need to move on?
Through my advocating, I was very worried about putting a specific age on the house. We did tell the families that our effort would be to try to move the children into adult homes,
Right.
for those that did survive and lived into their 18th, 20th, and birthdays. But we never wanted to be in a circumstance, and thank God we did that, because with our economy the way it's
Right.
been, there hasn't been any movement. So we can comfortably then have the kids stay there and
That's amazing.
continue their care until we can come up with the next best alternative for them as a young adult.
That's amazing. So
But
you
look-
know she's safe and she's cared for.
Not only that, but the level of genuine love
I can
is
hear it.
just,
I hear
they
it.
don't have to do these extra things that they do, but they do it anyway. Throwing holiday parties, a luau party. They had a high school graduation party for some of the housemates who
that's
graduate from high
fantastic.
school.
It's fantastic.
Music Man comes in.
Yeah. That's
That's
just
wonderful.
wonderful.
We recently took a trip out to Stony Brook to visit the newest Angela's house.
That's the third one.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Angela's house is a group home. It is run by IGHL in group home living. It is under the direction of Bob Policastro. We have 8 children, all under the age of 16. Our oldest child is 16. They're all medically frail. We have a few children that are on ventilators 24/7 and some that are on ventilators just at night, just nocturnal ventilation. We have 5 children that go out to district for school for their educational needs, and 3 that stay home and are homeschooled.
We needed to be able to help kids that needed assistance with ventilators to survive. So we were pretty persistent in saying, let's take our model, let's prove to everyone that we could do this and care for kids that are ventilator dependent. And we're blessed. We're 2 years into this house. It's working phenomenally well. We took kids out of hospitals and nursing homes, and now in a comfortable home environment. So it's been a great success story in creating the best possible environment for kids that deserve it. We have state-of-the-art equipment and devices within this home. And even when it's beyond necessarily not covered by insurance or Medicaid, we make sure we still get it. So like in this house, we have a monitoring system that's able to, pretty much, whether somebody's in the child's in the room by themselves or up front in the house, they always know how they're doing with their ventilators. So we have oxygen and suctioning hookups in each of the walls. You don't necessarily see that because when you walk into this house and you see the beautiful living room and den, and you don't necessarily see that oxygen hookup. Like when you walk in a hospital bedroom, you see that all that equipment and it kind of pops out at you. We tried to make it so it's more of a subtlety in a sense where you see more of the beauty of the room before you see the equipment.
We have a ratio of 1 nurse to 4 children, which is a very good ratio as far as nursing goes. They like that. You wouldn't find that in a hospital or a nursing home, and that's what enables us to give the excellent care that we give.
I love working for Angela's house. I am privileged to work alongside the staff here. We all have a great relationship with one another. We all truly care about the well-being of the children, and it's really a great job. It's really a great place to be.
The families that we serve at Angela's house, I think, is one of the most gratifying pieces of my job because they are so appreciative and thankful that they live in a close proximity to the children. They thank us all the time and we say, you don't have to thank us. And just to see the joy and happiness in them. They come here with their other children, they play, they have a barbecue in the backyard, they swing on the swings with them, they take a walk in the backyard around the path, and that puts a smile on our face, and that makes it all worth it every day.
Thank you so much, Anne, for visiting and sharing
so much for having me.
your beautiful Victoria and your family
Thank
with
you so
us.
much.
And your faith.
Thank you to
Yes.
Bob Policastro and all his work, tireless with his family, the whole entire family. It's a beautiful family. I'm so thankful.
Yeah. Well, you
God
can
bless
feel
you.
you can
Thank you.
feel the love.
That's right.
When we hear you talk about it.
Yeah.
So thank you. And now we're going to take a break, and we will be right back with Family Comes First.
Hi, I'm Todd Belisle, the president of the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration. At the center, we understand the importance of helping individuals, family members, and loved ones secure independent lifestyles. We are the nation's leading provider in trust administration services with regards to pool trust, community trust, third-party trust, and special needs trusts. The center also offers specific services for Medicare recipients who are receiving settlement proceeds. If you'd like to find out what the center can do for you or your loved one, please contact us today.
Welcome back to Family Comes First. We've been speaking with Bob Policastro, the founder of Angela's House.
And joining us now is Deanna Ebley, a partner in your law firm, Vincent.
Beautiful.
Russo Law Group. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, it's great having both of you because I know we have a lot to talk about. And listening to Anne and the other families that have benefited from the programs at Angela's House, how does that make you feel when you look back?
It's surreal. You know, I spent my first 8 years of this journey where it was me and the four walls around me trying to get people to understand what our world was about. And I was naive to think it wasn't going to take that long. And even when we were doing workshops and trying to advocate, sometimes I would walk into some of the rooms and thinking I would have to say it once. And here I am, how many years later, realizing how important, and my appreciation for you guys helping, you know, for the community to understand what a medically fragile child is.
This was not your world until Angela.
No,
Just
it
like
was-
my Teresa, special needs was not my world.
This is something you always thought you would just see in the paper or in the TV.
Right, it doesn't
you
happen
never
to you,
think it's
right.
going to happen to you. And that's when I use that word surreal. That's how I felt in the delivery room. You know, when she was born and everything went wrong. You know, it's almost like an out of body experience. As you're watching it, you can't even comprehend that this is. You know, that joy that you've been waiting 9 months for, and everything going wrong and trying to figure out where you're going to turn. To hear Anne even talk about it as we reminisce kind of, you know, the thought of approaching the family, knowing what they were going through, and to say, you know, we have a new house that I really think I would like you to consider because being from the outside, you can sometimes see
see
what
it,
someone is not seeing when they're in the midst of it, and you can imagine how delicate. But I think being a parent
Sure.
allows me to say those things with the sincerity and the hope that we'll be able to help.
And you have to deal with the preconceptions that have legitimately come from the terribly disturbing past of how treatment was administered and what was done. You know, this is so different from what is in everybody's
Absolutely.
minds. You know, you heard Anne say, "I'll never do that."
Absolutely.
This is just not
You know,
that.
what was obviously bad for my wife and I, because there was no services such as that available for us, but the positive side is that I was able to take that parental perspective and
Yes.
put it into New York State. This is what we want.
Right.
We're starting from scratch, and it was hard. And when
You put
it was
a face.
very
You
hard.
put a face to the situation. Otherwise, it's just a story, or it doesn't happen to the majority of people. So, do we really care?
Right. And people think it can't
you
happen to me.
You put a real face on it.
Until it does.
And you've been an incredible inspiration to so many. The question, another question I have is, you know, what should parents be doing in terms of planning?
Well, it's a great question right now because it seems like our government was very progressive in wanting to help developmentally disabled individuals across the board, even anybody with any kind of disabilities. And I have found more recently with what you hear in the news as far as the redesign of Medicaid, it's a lot more serious than people understand. When they use the word design, they're hiding the word cut. And when they say redesigning, that's really what's happening. So Medicare
Controlling
cuts,
costs.
yes. So
That's
you know,
what it becomes.
when you look at the senior population in Medicare, one experience that I've had, which has affected our children too, is they cut medical supplies by over 40%.
Wow.
What company anywhere can take a 40% cut and expect to exist? And so what happened? You see a lot of companies go out of business. You see resources being dropped. That's just that small tip of the iceberg. But in Medicaid, with the redesign, again, you're not using the word cut, so most people don't know what's going on.
So what is a family to do? How can you plan for this, Deanna?
Well, a lot of families, their biggest concern is providing for their children now and when they pass. You know, when I'm gone, what happens to my children and how do I take care of them? And so we sit with them and we are really trying to get them to focus on making sure that they have supplemental needs trusts in place and pooled trusts in place so that there's a means to help supplement and take care of their children in situations like that where they may need other resources to supplement the Medicaid and Medicare that they're receiving.
And then in terms of Medicaid, the availability of Medicaid?
Medicaid, there's a bunch of waiver programs out there for children who are under the age of 18, and they can transition into other programs when they're over the age of 18 and 21. And so it's a matter of speaking to the people who have that specialty so that you know you're getting all the resources that are available to you.
Yes.
And most people don't even understand what a pooled trust is, or you know, what's available to help them.
Sure, you want to?
And so there's a number of different pooled trusts out there, and they go the extreme of just protecting income if there's income issues in Medicaid, right up to taking assets that someone may have that are in excess that may force them to not be eligible for Medicaid, and it allows you to put that into a trust that is controlled or overseen by a charity. And that money is used for the beneficiary, the child, and charities have some benefit to it. And then there are also some of those trusts that allow charities and family to benefit.
So the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration, we're very grateful. They're a co-sponsor of our show.
Tremendous
They
organization.
administer the Teresa Pool Trust, and they are awesome. They do a fantastic job. And the key is to make sure that no one loses their government benefits.
Right.
Because if they lose them, trying to get them back is a real problem. And so the pool trust allows someone who's on government benefits or is looking to get on government benefits an opportunity to do that, stay on government benefits, and have assets supplement their living expenses, pay for the things not covered by Medicaid.
And what the word you use, supplement, is the important piece that I think I would love people to understand. 25 years ago, even when we were looking at philosophically how we were going to do these houses, when you look at Medicaid and even home care, with Medicaid coming in, maybe one of the waivers helping a family, once a child moved into a group home, there was this sense of security that Medicaid would always be there and take care of everything going into the future. The same thing with home care. With cuts, agencies are going to be forced to really reduce what they can do, and they're going to need support.
It's going to have to come from somewhere.
Obviously, Bob's very passionate
Yes. Thank God.
about this
Thank God for
issue,
you.
and we're just going to have you back because we've run out of time. But I want to thank you for all that you're doing for literally the thousands of families that have a child with special needs. And Deanna, thank you so much for your input on the legal side. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back on Family Comes First.
As always, Vincent, when we speak with Bob, he raises such provocative questions.
Yeah.
And he's such a hands-on caregiver, but yet you can see, and he can see firsthand, how the system really needs to change. It has, but not enough.
Yeah, and I love that he's still the parent.
Yes.
And brings that sensitivity and caring to everyone he touches and tries to help.
That's the hands-on.
Yeah.
The hands-on part.
I just feel so connected to Bob because our lives parallel in so many different ways with his daughter Angela, my daughter Teresa. And for us, Bob and I, it's so joyful to listen to Anne.
Yes.
Because her daughter is having a wonderful life, and that's what we would want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It sounds like she's a lovely 21-year-old. It's
just
incredible.
fantastic.
Yeah, incredible.
And so many advances.
Yeah.
So.
True. So now we are so fortunate to have Father Tony joining us to share his experiences as our spiritual advisor.
Thank you so
We're
much.
so happy to have you here.
It's always good to be on the show. Thank you so much. No, I was so taken by Anne's beautiful testimony and her real human story of
Very much.
crying out to God in that moment when she just was overwhelmed with having to deal with this particular issue that she was not prepared to deal with. And to be able to realize that there's somebody who's medically fragile, dependent upon her, saying, God, I don't think I can do this. And God answers that prayer. God is not indifferent to our problem, to our situations, and connects us to people. And to hear like God
Bob.
connected her to Bob. Is that awesome?
Amazing.
And parent to parent.
Right.
Not agency to somebody who's a client, but parent to parent, taking her by the hand and say, come on, I'll walk you through this. And that's what I felt in Bob's tender care for another parent going through this, saying, I can walk you through this.
Yeah.
Wow, that was unbelievable.
It was so profound. And his own hesitation, because he knew what she needed, but also knew how hard that was to say and to hear. You know, I mean, you have lived this, you know.
Well, you know, what's so hopeful about it is that I think for Anne, she could look at Bob and know that Bob lived it. Bob created a path. Bob could show her the light. And with God's Spirit, she felt that, yeah, I could do this. I could do this.
And it wasn't the thing she was afraid of.
Yeah.
It was something different that he is providing to so many parents and families who would never want to give their child up to someone else's care. Never
I mean,
could imagine it.
Yeah, we struggled when Teresa was born. The resources weren't there.
Yeah.
And we never had anyone in our family with special needs. So no one wanted to give us any opinion. No one wanted to say what we should or shouldn't do.
No one knew.
And then we had to listen to professionals, well-intentioned, who said, you need to put her in an institution. And I always say it was, you know, a number of months later when they found a place and they were going to send her up to Albany. And I said, God hit me with a baseball bat on the back of the head. He said, bring her home. She's your child. What are you doing? And we did. And it was the greatest decision.
Yeah. It's amazing. And that's, I think, Angela's house provides for both of those scenarios.
Absolutely. What
you
a
know,
joy.
in home, and yet the kids who really need the care that, thank God, now is starting to exist more. But he's fighting an uphill battle to make this available.
But wasn't it incredible to hear about the people who actually work at Angela's house and that they kind of feel like they have that vocation?
Yeah.
And that would also just relieve any parent's worry. I'm giving them over to someone who's called, and really called, to do that kind of work.
Yeah, the love that she was describing was tremendous.
Well, thank you for your insights,
Yeah,
as always, Father. You know, children. It's all about children. We love our children, and it doesn't matter. They come in all sorts of different varieties, and every child is precious and a gift. You know, we heard about the beautiful gift of Victoria for Anne, and they need to be part of family life. I mean, this is family comes first.
Absolutely. And we're very fortunate that there are resources like Angela's House and also like your law firm, Vincent, with the work that you and Deanna and your whole team is doing to provide guidance for parents as to how to organize themselves legally and financially so that their children are protected.
Sure.
You know, so
We do the
have,
best we can.
Well, you do a
Yeah,
tremendous
we try.
job, tremendous
We
job.
try.
So for resources on all of the information about Angela's House and also about Vincent's law firm, you can look at angelashouse.org. And for more information on special needs, please visit Vincent's law firm website at vjrussolaw.com.
Yeah, we've got a free guide for parents that can be downloaded, and I just urge any parents who feel they can benefit from it, please do so.
You don't even know what you're looking for until somebody gives you a map. So,
Right.
terrific.
Thanks to all our viewers for joining us, and remember, family truly does come first.